what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show. In today's episode, I will be talking on respecting women. It's something that, you shouldn't have to listen to a podcast episode of mine to actually commit to it. Like, nah, this is something that you should have been doing long before my podcast episode. But anyways, that's actually who I wanted to shout out because, that man, he always be posting about, like, stuff like when it talks on, like, respecting women and stuff. But anyways, no, shout out to Zach from Four Souls. Like, me and him, we're one and the same. Like we both grew up around women, so it only makes sense, to respect women and stuff. But yeah, it would just be weird for like the both of us to, grow up in the environment that we were in and still not have a respecting towards women and stuff. So yeah, but he's definitely somebody, I wish I was him when I was his age. Because it was, I have to say, like, I wasn't, like, a bad person, but I do feel like that I could have been a much more better person, so, if that makes sense, but, yeah, he's definitely somebody where it's like, besides, like, the comedy that he brings to the videos and stuff in the Four Souls channel, and everything else, like, that man, he's definitely somebody that can, like, motivate the world and stuff. So major shout out to Zach. Y'all should go over and check out his YouTube channel that he has with his sisters, Four Souls. I'm pretty sure you guys know who they are. But if you're new to this podcast and you don't know me or know any of the people that I talk on and stuff, then yeah, and it's like go over, check them out, show love, support, do what you can. Say I told you to go there, whatever. But anyways, but yeah, like he's definitely somebody that posted about that stuff a lot. And there's never a time where I'm not looking at it and saying facts, like, or man, that's messed up. Like, it's either like he's either like sharing something that's like that's for women or showing the disrespect that women go through. And so when he's sharing the things that's like for women, I'm looking at it saying facts. You're right. Like, no, that's like straight up facts. And then today he shared this video, and I'm like, man, it's crazy how many people that most likely done gotten away with stuff, and it's like that's why you got people like Bill Cosby and a bunch of other people serving time in prison for that because and it's just crazy to even like talk on like those laws and crap. But no, it's he shared this video of, like all these different talk show hosts that was just overall just being super creepy towards women. I think by far they were all equally creepy, but by far the creepiest was when this talk show host, he decided that he was going to talk on Britney Spears' breasts. And the fact that she was 17 years old at the time, I mean, you shouldn't really like talk. I guess like if it's like a surgical procedure or something, like if it was like some big major news, I wouldn't just come out and say, so how's the breast feeling and stuff like that. That's just a weird, I'm like, but if it was like a question that I was like, so how did the surgery process, proper terminology and stuff. Cause I'm like, yeah, you had a big major surgery earlier this year. How did that go? And, let them talk on it. I'm like, yeah, you're going to be the one saying the words breast and boobs and all that stuff. I'm just going to be here just, using the proper terminology and stuff. So, anyways, but yeah, it was crazy. Then there was so many other things. I'm like, I'm like, I don't know how y'all got away with this stuff. And then it's just some of them that like then lasted all these different years. I'm like, nowadays I'm like some stuff like that they definitely would have got canceled. But there is even I remember the one time where I had watched a video, and I think I did talk about that on my commentary channel. But the time when Jay Leno, that dude was just being like super weird towards Lindsay Lohan, and I'm like, look, y'all can say how y'all feel about Lindsay Lohan and a bunch of other people that that's been the media attention wrongfully, but you still gotta respect them. That's why it's like, as a kid, when you see that stuff, you find it funny. You find it funny, like Britney Spears shaved her head and was acting all weird and stuff. Lindsay Lohan, like, all that, like all the different things that went down. But as I get older, I realize, like, hey, yo, those are like some serious things. And I think that's why I have like such a good understanding towards it, because it's like I can somewhat relate to them situations and stuff. So that's why I'm like, man, I never really like laugh about that stuff anymore. It's like, if anything, I'm like, hey, yo, like they going through some stuff and they need help and things. So, but anyways, what was I getting ready to talk on? I was getting ready to say something and straight up forgot. Like that's when it's like, I'm like trying to like backtrack and then get back to continue where I was talking. I'm like, yup, ain't no luck with that. So guess I'll have to think of it along the lines I'm doing this episode. But anyways, but there's just so many other times like, where I've heard like people, and I feel like the main one is when like a woman that's like of fame, that's like not too well, regardless, like whether they're like not too famous or like, full blown like everybody in the world knows them. But it's just crazy when when you hear a woman like talk about the messages that she'll receive, where it's like freaking either like or well, yeah, messages. I'm because I was trying to think like, I guess like you could throw comments and tweets and everything else in there and stuff. But it, even while, because I was watching the one video, well, I reacted to that video, and I was actually a part of that video because I was the only one that sent a good message and stuff. And I'm like, man, it's like that's what, people don't like really take this internet stuff seriously. Like they don't be thinking about like how that person feels when they're getting all these creepy and weird messages, not really knowing like if they've been through some trauma where it's like that stuff that you're saying in their DMs, like they've actually been through that type of stuff and they had to fight for their life to survive that type of stuff. People don't think along those lines. Like, no, I'm letting y'all know I'm gonna get super dark in this episode. But it's just crazy when when guys would send a girl like some like weird like sexual message and things, knowing that girl ain't asked for that, thinking like, oh, okay, like, the girl is like, not gonna have like no response. But it's like you don't know how that girl's gonna react to that message. So it's like, why send that to her? Like, how my thing is like, how would that make you feel if you were to get some weird message like that? Because if a guy were to, I don't even like when guys joke around with me with that type of stuff. So it's like to be dead serious about it. Yeah, that's why I'm like, hey yo, get out of here. Like blocked, like you go act weird somewhere else, or go talk to yourself and be weird to yourself. But when you get other people involved, it's like, yeah, they're not going to like that. So it's it's one of those things. It's like because no, it was like somebody was in my stream the other day. They were trying to do some like weird like flirting. Like I'd be having some weird people in my streams at time, but no, they were trying to do some old weird flirting joke, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And then there's just like, I was just joking, and I'm like, did I ask for that? When at any given point in time did I say like I was wanted to be a part of some joke like that? Like no, I'm like, it's stuff like that. I'm like, I don't like it. Like dang, I'm like, am I not allowed to like to like and not like certain things? It's crazy when they get offended when you get offended. Like man, get out of here. It's like, okay, if that's the case, I'm like, you go watch somebody else stream. I'm like, I'd rather have nobody watching my stream than to have people coming in my streams being weird and stuff. So. But anyways, I've talked on how I've gotten weirdos before in my stream, and I'm like, that's just a bridge I just don't really want to cross anymore. Maybe if I have like hundreds of thousands of people in my stream and I, ain't really seeing any of that stuff, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But if not, then I'm like, yeah, I don't want to see any of that. But anyways, but no, like there was the YouTuber that I react to frequently. For those that are new to my podcast, like I have a channel where I do a lot of reaction videos and stuff. So there's this one YouTuber, her name is Jordy, and she did this video where she was talking like on all the like weirdest DMs, excuse me, she got. And yeah, I was like, watching that video, and then it was crazy because she shouted me out because I was at the, at the end of the video, I was really the only person that sent her something nice. And it was like funny and it was cool, but at the same time, I was thinking like, that's messed up. That I was the only one that sent her a good message. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that be sending her good messages and things, but it's messed up that I was the only one like the message that stood out the most, rather than all the messages of people sending her like pictures of their privates and crap and all these other different. I'm like, bro, a girl don't want that. I'm gonna just tell y'all right now, like, just to let you know, like in 2021 and every other year when, DMs and social media and all that stuff was like famous and viral, unless a girl like then asked you to send her that stuff, that's the only time when you send it out. But when you send that stuff out and the girl didn't even like ask for it, like, bro, that's harassment. Like, I don't think you know that at the end of the day, but that's harassment. And I'm pretty sure probably in some places, or it's like, and maybe not some, probably all places, that stuff needs to be taken seriously. Cause I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't want, like, my thing is cause you send that type of stuff, right? Like that's like my thing is like social media is kind of just a virtual real life. Like you're coming across all these random strangers. You're like you're out in this environment and stuff. So my question is would you walk up to a girl and just randomly just flash her, right? Because that's called indecent exposure. I think, yeah, I think it's like or public exposure, something like that, but it's against the law to do some stuff like that. So imagine, my thing is like imagine that stuff, because I know people are like, bro, it ain't that serious, it's just a it's just a picture. I'm like, it is, because the girl ain't asked for that stuff. Like like my thing is like in this episode, I don't want nobody. You can argue with me in any other episode that you want to argue, like like whatever episode it is. But in this episode, like nah, there is no argument on that where you're sending the girl a picture and she even asked for it. Like no, there ain't no argument with that. There ain't no defense in that. You can't defend yourself on that, because it's like, okay, you do that in front of a cop, and see, won't that cop be looking at you like you're weird? It's like, I wonder if you can get arrested for some stuff like that, if it's like on social media and things. I don't know for sure, but I feel like you can. I hope you can. Like that's that's what I wish. I hope you can. But yeah, it's just crazy when people do things like that. It's really crazy. It's like, I know I've seen like memes and stuff where it's like it'd be like minors and things where it's like famous minors, where it's because I think it was the one girl, her name is like Malu or something like that. She's like, I don't know, she's just famous on social media. I don't know what she overall does and stuff, but she's just one of those faces that you see a lot. Like any platform that gets started, you're like, oh, I remember her. I know her. I think that's what it was. Like she got into some beef with Danielle Bergoli, the Catch Me Outside girl. And I think they were friends, and then they got into it, and I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I think she sings too. I think she sings. So I'm like, okay, so she's a singer. But overall, there's been times like where videos that went like viral and stuff of just some guy like being weird in her comments. I think there's been times where like guys have commented on her body and things, and then it'll just lead into like where they show her age, and she's like, I think now she's over the age, but at the time like she wasn't. So when people was out there sending her weird messages and stuff, it's like, do you guys understand, or comments, do you guys understand that this girl, and even if she is over the age, like that still doesn't give you a reason to like send out and hit my microphone, but if in case you heard like a noise go off. But anyways, if that girl ain't like ask you to send that stuff, regardless of how old she is, like you shouldn't be out there sending that stuff. Like it just it's weird. Like I don't think you like people fully understand how weird that is. But my thing is like, if you have a daughter, and don't even be that person where it's all like, oh, but I don't have a, no, you have a daughter, okay, she's 14, 15 years old, and she just came up to you and said, Dad, this guy just sent me a picture of his privates. How would you react to that? How would you respond to that? You're going to be like, oh, well, you shouldn't have been on social media. You shouldn't have been. No. Be mad about that stuff. Find out who that, like, report them. Be there for your daughter, because your daughter is going to think, oh, that stuff is okay. Next thing you know, you got 100 guys coming through your house and stuff. It's like, my thing is like, if you're going to be that person where it's like you're not going to care, then it's like, that's what I'm going to tell you. Like, raise your kids right. Raise your kids right. Don't be that person where it's like, be there for your kids and let them know, like, okay, yeah, that guy's a weirdo. Block that guy. Freaking report him. Do whatever you can to make sure, like, that you ain't never seen some stuff like that again. But yeah, it's like in regardless of like like of the person's age and stuff, you shouldn't really have to put your age in like the like in your bio to like tell people. It's like they should just know like off the bat, like, hey, yo, don't be weird in my comments or messages or any of that stuff. But yeah, it's crazy. I think that's what I was gonna say earlier. There's this model. She's pretty famous. I know. I think I think she's definitely the like she's blown. Well, of course she's blown up on TikTok, but I think that's what she's more recognized for is TikTok. But there was a time where she had came out, and I think I did do a video talking about this on my news channel. But she came out in the video and was talking on how a guy, while he was married, was sending her all of these weird messages and stuff. Like, while he was married. Like, this dude is married to a wife. Like, and the crazy thing about it was that the wife had messaged the model and told her, like, all the crazy things that the husband was doing. And I'm like, man, that's just weird. Like, that's one thing. That's when it's like, even like your wives, girlfriends, have a respecting towards them too. Like, it trips me out when it's like, like, because that's one thing like, it catches people by surprise, and it's just a little fact about me. I never would refer to a woman as the B word, as a, bitch and stuff. Like, it's just something I ain't gonna say because I don't know how the, rules and regulations work out for a podcast and stuff, but the B word. I would never refer to a woman as the B word. I remember I told that to some coworkers at my job. I can't remember how we got on that discussion, but I did. I remember I did say that at some point in time where I was like, oh no, because no, I think that's what it was. It was like, because I mean, like, there's guys out there already saying it and stuff. So even my thing is like, even if I'm mad and even if I'm like, I'm extreme, because there's been times where I've been like extremely upset at like, women and things like coworkers, customers, freaking girls I went to school with. Like, I've been like mad to the point where I'm just like, hey yo, like I should take a water balloon and throw it at you and stuff. Like when you least expecting it and things, just take a water balloon or something, because I ain't gonna hit. Like that's one thing. It's like I shouldn't have to talk on it, but yeah, definitely don't hit a woman and stuff. Like unless that woman is trying to kill you, then yeah, defend yourself. Like I mean, legit trying to kill you. Like this woman got like a weapon and she's trying like aiming to stab, shoot, hit you, something to like cause immediate death or things. So it's like yeah, defend yourself. But if she's like what slapping you or hitting you, even if she kicks you and stuff, like I don't care how hard she punches or kicks, it could be freaking Ronda Rousey. Do not hit a woman. Period. All right. So, but anyways, but no. So I was like, so when I was talking to my coworkers and things, I think the one coworker was just all like, yeah, if you ever get, because I think we dealt with the crazy customer thing. There's just like, yeah, and I think he was just saying it as a joke, like he was telling me and stuff. But I was just all like, no, man, I'm like, I can't, I don't refer to women as the, as the B word and stuff. And so the one, the manager, she was surprised by it because I don't know. I guess like you just hear it so frequently in things like in this day and age and stuff where a guy would do that. So I guess it would be surprising to hear that, like, hear a guy say that. It's like, oh no, I don't refer to women as the B word. And so, yeah, the one the coworker, they told me to call the customer the B word, but he was joking. I don't want people to be trying to go after him and stuff. Like, we know we couldn't say that because I know I would immediately get fired if I did some stuff like that. So he was just saying that as a joke. But anyways, but yeah, he was all like, huh? He was like, he was like, that is surprising. Like, and it is like when when you sit down and think about it, it is because it's like you don't really expect to hear some stuff like that, but it's just something that I wouldn't do. And then that's another thing that I don't refer to women as a female. And I know people would be like, wait a minute, what? So, explanation. So there was a point in time where I do remember, it was, I can't remember which one of my friends had shared that, but it was a post that I, sat down, took the time to read. And it was like talking on how like how like derogatory it is to refer to a woman as a female, and the reason why I don't do that, and I know people be like, but that's what they are, they're a female and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, when you see it like on like a whatever, if they like their like driver's license, or if they're filling out some paperwork and then they're like, oh, gender, and they're like male, female, whatever. So that's true, it is true, but is derogatory. And that's why I'm like, and I sat down because I'm like, I know people will argue with that, but I sat down, took the time to think about it. I'm like, now, how would that make me feel? It's like, okay, there's the N-word, prime example, the N-word. I don't want people to just randomly come up to me and call me the N-word because that's just weird and awkward. And I'm like, I might have to like spaz on that person a little bit just so like, not for myself, but just for other black people. Like it's just to overall explain to me like, the whole like outcome of, people calling me the N-word. I don't care, at the end of the day if people call me the N-word, but I just want to give them that like overreaction, like acting, because at the end, I'm like, it doesn't offend me. I'm like, oh, okay, at the end of the day, I know the root of that word means black person. So I'm like, okay, like you're in a derogatory way, you're calling me a black person, but I'd like, okay, I know that. I know I'm black. I wake up 24/7. All right, not 24/7. I just know, like, I look at my body 24/7, like, knowing that and stuff. So when I wake up in the morning, I look in the mirror, I see that I am black. So it's, when people, when they do call me the N word, it's like, you're not really doing anything to offend me. And I think that there probably are women out there that's like that, where it's like you could call them a female and stuff, and it's like, okay, and it's like, people be like trying to say this a disrespectful way and things. It's like, no, don't go out your way. I don't want nobody like after this episode. It's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna use that now, like, refer, because I'm like, okay, if a woman goes off on you, then it's like she has a right to go off on you and stuff, and you can't do nothing about it. But I did see this post where it did talk on like how derogatory it is to call a woman a female. So like, and that's why it's like in previous episodes and videos and everything else, like when I say, because most people would say like a female streamer, or a female artist, or a female rapper, or female actor, or female whatever, and that's even another thing where I'm like, when people, when they say like oh, that's an actress and that's an actor, I would look Angelina Jolie in her face and be like, you're the actor, right? I'm like, because I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like, that label, I'm like, where'd that even actress label come from? That's what it's, it's some stuff like that. I don't mean anything to me. I look at a woman actor in her face and be like, so how long you been an actor? And I'm like, and if she corrects me, and she's like, actress, I'm like, oh, okay, she wants to be referred to as an actress, all right. So I'm like, correction. I'm like, I'm like, and that's the thing where it's like, women, don't be afraid to correct somebody. If there's a person out there or a man out there, being disrespectful, correct that man. That man won't learn. He's not like me and some men in this world where they grew up around women, regardless of whether it's been siblings, their mom, aunts, cousins, or friends at their school, or coworkers at their job, whatever. Like, they didn't grow up around women to understand, like, okay, if a woman doesn't like to be referred to as this, or that, or whatever, like, don't say it, period. It's like, it's one of those things you just don't do. You don't cross that line. You don't, with the woman, it's like where she tells you, hey, don't call me that, or don't do that, or whatever, and it's like you still go out, and it's like, okay, you're being disrespectful, and somebody's gonna have to check you on that. So yeah, it's honestly, it's just, it's crazy how many people, how many men would be disrespectful towards a woman and things. And I can tell you right now, like, being friends with a lot of women, having a sister, having a mom, when I hear some like overall like disrespectful things being said or done to a woman, it's like, it has an effect on me and stuff. There was a time where I was like, I was so ready to go to jail that day. I was so ready. Even though I was like all the way in a different complete city and things, I would have managed. I'm like, hey, you know what? Just wait right there. Stall that person if you need to. But I'm just saying, I will go to jail. But anyways, there was a friend of mine that had went to a concert, and that's where I'm like, okay, that's even more so a reason why you have to respect women. For the men out there that don't respect women, you have to respect women, because you might meet a man that really doesn't care about life and don't really care about consequences. Me, and I will spaz on you. But anyways, so my friend was at a concert, and she texts me and she lets me know like what'll be going on at the concerts and stuff. So there was a time where she told me, and this is something that I just won't shake, because I'm like, if there was ever a time when we were hanging out and she were to point out that guy and be like, even though it would be like years down the road, I still would have the same energy, because the energy has been paused. Okay, so I'm like, I'm not going to do anything right now because I don't know what the guy looks like. I don't know who he is. It could be a close friend of mine, friend, family, whoever. I've been like, hey, yo, you disrespected this woman. You have to apologize. If not, I really don't care who you are or what position you have in my life. I will fight you. So plain and simple and things. But anyways, so yeah, she texts me. She was all like, this guy just grabbed my butt. The immediate like heat, the anger that I felt, because I'm like, man, I already know. There was a time where I did go to a concert with her, and I was just like, I always was like, I try to, just when I am with women, I'm like, I am their, like, without charge, I am their personal bodyguard and stuff, because I'm like, okay, if a guy comes up to them acting crazy, guess who can act 10 times crazier? TMossBoss, aka the man that just doesn't really care. So I was so mad, and I was like, hey yo, like how long is that show? I'm sitting there trying to think, can I make it in Seattle in time? Because I'm like, just send me the address. Let me know what I'm like, what's the place called? And I'm like, and I think at the end of the day, like they, my friend, she knew like what I was up to and stuff. So yeah, I'm a violent individual. Like I just let you know that right now. It's like even friends, I'm like, okay, if I see some stuff going down, I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to hurt somebody and things. I don't really want to, but it's one of those things where I really don't have no choice. But yeah, I'm like, man, when I hear stuff like that go down, it's just, it's crazy. And it's like, and I was mad that I was like, okay, dang, I wish I could have been there to do something. But when you're not and you're legit, like, at home, not being able to do nothing and stuff, yeah, that will leave you a little bit upset. Still to this day, I'm like, if we were ever hanging out and she said that's the guy that grabbed my butt, I definitely would go up to that man, hold him against the wall, and be like, you're either apologizing or I'm beating you badly. And I don't really want to, because I don't know you, and you might be a cool person now, you might have changed, but I still have the same energy from that night. That energy ain't going nowhere until something's changed. All right, so anyways, yeah, I'm like, definitely don't do no stuff like that. And it was like, even in that video that Zach had shared on Instagram, where the like all the like different talk show hosts, where it's like they're like touching women inappropriately and all that stuff, I'm like, man, you guys, y'all don't care if them girls got like husbands and freaking, or boyfriend, brothers, dad, whoever, cousins, whoever, friends. I'm like, you don't care about that. Because I'm like, I definitely would have been like, because even it was, I think, Angelina Jolie, Uma Thurman, it was like all these different like people and stuff that were, like women that was on these talk shows just thinking they were just being up on there just to, talk and stuff. And I'm like, man, it's just, it's crazy. It's like how a person would carry on like that. And it's like, for what? Like, my thing is like, how would that, to all those guys, to all those talk show hosts, let's say if it was like your wife, your sister, your mom, a woman in your life that you care about is sitting up on stage and you got a guy grabbing all on her and stuff, asking her inappropriate questions. Because I definitely have been looking at that host and I'm like, so either that man doesn't care more about life or I don't care more about life, because I want to run up on this stage, but he's like asking these questions right here in front of my face. Like, what does a person do? So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how people carry on like that. But guys, if you're gonna be, my thing is like, you either be a fan of me and listen to what I'm saying and stop disrespecting women of all sorts. That means no harassing, no sending them no form of harassment, no form of inappropriate touching or conversations or whatever, without their consent. If they approach you talking on that weird stuff, okay, then they approach you talking on that weird stuff. If you are with that weird stuff, okay. But if nobody is with that weird stuff, tell them that, okay? And if they still approach you acting crazy, then yeah, that's when you just be like, all right, well, I know in my head and I can confirm you are a weirdo. So yeah, it's crazy. And I know there's gonna probably be a guy out there where it's like they try to defend it. It's like, well, why is it okay for a girl to go up to a guy and they can be weird and no, they can't. I don't want no girl coming up on me. I don't want nobody coming up on me, touching me and things. That's why I'm like, no, do not, please. I'm like, unless I'm with it. If I'm not with it, I'm like, do not touch me. Don't. I'm like, I will like leg swipe you or something. I don't know what I overall would do, but I'm like, I just don't touch me. I don't want nobody touching me and things. So I'm like, unless like if I'm cool with that person, and I know that that's their thing, and it's like, okay, I'm like, all right with it and stuff. All right, then I'm all right with it. But if you're just some random woman and you come up and grab my butt, I'm going to look at you. I'm like, you are weird. Because at the same time you did that, I farted. So now your hand smells like a fart. So I'm like, that's on you. But nah, jokes aside, though, it's like, don't do that. Man, woman, woman, man, woman, woman, man, freaking dog, cat. I don't care. Do not do it. Okay, so... But anyways, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode. Because of this being a serious episode, I'm not going to do any promo stuff like social media or codes or all that. So anyways, but yeah, talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening, and peace.